I'm Jim. I was in the United States Air Force and I was a security policeman. We're providing physical security for Air Force bases in Vietnam. We had it made up until January 31st, 1968. And that was the opening day of the Tet Offensive. Horrific things were happening one right after the other, whereas prior to Tet, if one of those things would have happened, we'd have talked about it for weeks. And one morning I woke up and the sun was up and I was still in one piece. And I got on a Braniff 727 that took me out of there. The reception that I got coming back to the United States was pretty poor. It got to the point where if anybody would ask me if I had been in Vietnam, I would just say no, because I didn't want to hear what was going to follow if I said yes. We just hid. We just grew our hair long, wore bell-bottoms. I had nothing to do with any veterans organizations. Let's say in the late 90s, a friend of mine sees me walking on the street. Hey, Jimmy, I don't know if you know it or not. You know your friend that was in Vietnam with you in May? Well, he overdosed on heroin. He died. Fall of 2006. It was another one. The second friend of mine that I was stationed with in Benoit, I had heard that he had died, but I didn't hear how up until like January of 2007, and then somebody told me how he killed himself. And that started to weigh on me. I went in to see one of the service officers who helps people through their paperwork and stuff with the Veterans Administration. I told him what had happened. He took me right up to see the psychiatrist. And right then and there was no appointment or anything. We just right went in there. I talked to the psychiatrist at the Brooklyn VA for not too long, maybe half an hour or so. And he recommended that I see one of the mental health caseworkers on one-on-one counseling or mental health care work. And I started that probably around February of 2007, and I went every week. And it was some things that I never, ever spoke about. No one ever asked. No one ever cared. And things started to come out. I had found out that I have what they call night terrors. It's not a nightmare. It's you wake up from a sleep and you're out of breath and your heart's pounding 90 miles an hour. At times I would just break up, start crying. And I would say, it's like I cracked open a water faucet and started spilling the beans. And my mental health caseworker told me what that was. I thought it was something physical. And I come from the school of if it's not broke, don't fix it. So everything was fine in probably less than a couple of minutes. So I never went to see a doctor. I never asked anybody about it. She explained it to me that it's like trying to hold a rubber ball or a beach ball underwater. And at first it's easy, but it's always there and it's constantly pushing, pushing, pushing. They diagnosed me with PTSD 39 years after I left Vietnam. It was a relief to speak to people about this that are interested in it. And at the same time, it was that other side of the coin, like, where was this? How did this affect the last 39 years of my life? There's nothing to be ashamed of. When I go to the VA, it may sound strange, but it's kind of like being back at a military base. You're not in New York City anymore. Everybody says hello to each other. Everybody's just friendly and understanding.